gentlemen, to celebrate the Queens Women's Artists. I am so grateful that you guys came out tonight amidst the snow, the rain, the schmutz, the heat, the sun, even kind of bipolar weather. We're all artists, so we know how to roll with the punches. So what I'd like to introduce you to the Queens Women, Celebrating Queens Women Artists, was started in 2016. It was part of an initiative of mine. I've been a teacher for many years, and I found that girls coming up, we had girls leadership groups, and I saw that there was like a disparity between how males and females learn, and then going forward into relationships, into careers, aspirations, creativity. And I found that in school that I did creative writing or creative arts type of workshops, they began to flourish. You know, the girls began to get their mojo, all right? So when I left teaching full time, I started the Enchanted Goddess Literary Creative Arts Series and brought in, you know, women in who I know. If you raise your hand, some of the women for the Creative Arts Workshop, that did great, yeah. And I was at the Creative Arts Collective. So we decided, again, to put on a show and celebrate Queens Women's Artists. All right? We're not Manhattan, we're not Brooklyn, we're Queens and we're rock. So tonight, the first part of the show, I'll run over quickly. I'll be introducing 4 kick-ass women arts leaders in the community. They're artists in different genres, and they're taking it out into the community and changing people's lives. And you need to hear them. They are awesome. And then we'll have a performance. And that'll be 15 minutes. A person will be performing, a poet, and then she will be collaborating with a musician. And it's going to be really beautiful. And then we'll have a break. And the break will give you an opportunity to look around the beautiful artwork that we have. There are books for sale that artists have. There's artwork by our very own Honey Krakow, which is awesome. Okay, that you can buy posters. There are note cards for sale, and this all goes for Queens Council of the Arts. And we had then the second part. We will have 3 performances, which you're not going to want to miss. There are performances with very strong poetry, social activism, mysticism kind of thing. I love it. There's going to be film, there's going to be dance, so it's going to be really wonderful. And then we'll have the rainbow. And we have some really great prizes. So without any further ado, to start with the first speaker. Oh, before the speakers, we have visual artists that are here. And the first artist that I'd like to introduce and thank is Maria Cora Fernandez. She's an independent TV producer, owner and founder of Empire Productions. She directs and produces shows, cablecasts on QPTV. As a filmmaker, she founded Artist Space, a short documentaries web series that highlights emerging artists in Queens, providing them a platform to share their story as artists and showcase their creative work. I like to be one of those very lucky artists. How many artists here have been showcased in Mary's performances? Yeah, okay, awesome. And it changed the trajectory of our creative lives because of it. Let me see. Maria is also a visual artist. She's a member of the Society of Filipino American Artists in New York. Yeah. She is one of the participating artists in the group art exhibit that was held recently at the Philippine Center in Manhattan, New York. And the art piece was absolutely stunning. As an artist, she believes in a saying by Danny Kaye that says, "Life is a great canvas. Throw all the paint you can on it." And then to learn more about Mario's work, visit www.empireproductions.com. He is filming here. And then we have Sakia Graham. Where's Sakia? Sakia currently follows her passion for photography as an employee at a small non-profit where she photographs portraits, events, and stock photos for the company's social media and printed promotional material. She firmly believes that food is life and maintains a blog, Hungryland, which is really very cool. I mean, I read her blog, and she had made a recommendation for, was it the Serenity Tea House? Radiance Tea House, which was absolutely amazing. Her photographs are like, you just want to take a bite in them. You'll see in the back some of Sakia's artwork. And in the blog, it's where she describes her experiences with her love of food. Thank you, Sakia. Visual artist is Sanu. Marla is a photographer who is inspired by Annie Leibovitz and her brother-in-law. She has a good eye taking portraits of newborns and at modeling and music videos events. She took photographs at NAM, National Miss New Jersey 2014 event, and you can check her website. And you'll see some absolutely riveting photographs on the table by Sanu. I just wanted to, introduce these women before we start. These are our visual chroniclers of the events of our lives here. So I'm very grateful. Now, on to the rest of the show. Our first speaker will be Hong-Yi Lee Krakow. Hong-Yi Lee Krakow is the executive director of the Queens Council on the Arts. As a lifelong Queens resident, she is a firm believer in the power of the arts to mobilize and transform community. She is the author and illustrator of Rabbit Mooncakes, a multicultural picture book for children published by Little Brown and Company, and writes about how to create a rich life at hongyi.com. She has served on many boards and panels, including the Writers' Room, Tony Bennett's Exploring the Arts Foundation, the Americans for Arts Leadership Forum, and the Mayor's Cultural Affairs Advisory Commission. She is a graduate of Oberlin College, attended Mozarteum in Salzburg, Australia, heavy hitter, and received a Master's of Music in Piano Performance. Multi-talented artist here, from Manhattan School of Music. Krakow, let's bring you up.
Hi everyone. Welcome to my house. So nice to have you all in here. I wanted to do a quick shout out to Melando. Melando is the secret sauce. He makes like all this tech work and all these things that I have no idea how they work. They work so that you can have a beautiful evening. I have a great staff. I have a good job, and I look forward to working with all of you. And if you allow me, I'll keep your butt too. When I was born, my mother and my father spoke no English, and the way they did things was they went to fortune tellers. So they went to some fortune teller in Flushing, and you know where all those like auto repair places are. And this guy said to my mom, you know, you're the #1 daughter of your family and my father's #1 son. You know what? Your first child's going to be a boy, right? And the boy's going to be born on your birthday, double up, you know, and it's your first child in America, triple. It's going to be great. So you should pick out a name that really embodies this #1 son, you know, mitzvah. So they went back and they dug up the name of some dead warlord. You know. They wrote back to their parents in China, oh, we're going to have a boy, it's going to be born on my mom's birthday. They had the red egg parties, they had, you know, in China they put your name in a book. So they had this name of this dead general in this book. And they had the red egg parties going on in Hong Kong and Beijing. So my mom goes into labor on her birthday, and they're calling up everybody and having a, you know, they're having conniptions, like #1 son's coming to America. And named after this dead warlord, like martial arts guy from, I don't know, the Tang Dynasty or something, right? So she goes into labor, she calls the fortune teller, he says, I told you so, you see, you know, everything's gonna be great, and this child is gonna be destined to be doing great things because of all of these auspicious things. So she goes into labor, and guess who gets born 3 minutes after midnight? So I come out a girl. I'm late. And they couldn't do anything, everything was set. So my name, Heng Yi, is actually from some dead general. So whenever I speak Chinese to people, they think I'm a guy, you know, when they see my name. It's a masculine name, but no, it's me, Mrs. Krakauer, I'm Heng Yi. So anyway, the part about doing great things, I said, I could do that. You know, I couldn't do anything about being born late or being born a girl, but I'll take care of that. So anyway, I've been paying for it my whole life. So it means a lot to me to have Joan invite me to be part of this women's celebration, because I really do believe in the power of women. And I came up against a couple of strikes, you know, doing that. Always had to be #1 daughter, even though I was supposed to be #1 son. And it was not easy growing up in my home because, you know, in Chinese culture, you're the #1, you gotta get straight A's. Anyway, the whole point of being a champion of women artists and in general is kind of like in my blood, because my story was part of a legacy of stories of women that never had voices in China. In those books that I told you about, that the name only men. That's how I got in the book, because they thought I was a big boy. But my mom's name, my grandmom's name, not in the books at all, because it was just patriarchal. And so when my sister went to China, she said, guess what? Your name, you and me, we're not in that, well, I'm in, but you know, she and my mom, my aunt, and I said, what do you mean? And she said, only the uncles are in there. She goes, you gotta do something. I said, oh, I have to do something. I'm in the book. Like, you gotta do something. And she said, no, you gotta do something. So I was pregnant, having a really difficult time, and I was really a pain in the neck. And so my sister said, you gotta either walk, or knit a blanket, or hook a rug, or do something, because you are just a pain in the neck. So she found in the Boston Globe, because she lived in Boston, she found a little ad for New World, New Voices, Little Brown Company. And it was a contest. You could either write a YA, young adults, you could do a picture book, or you could do, you know, I said, I'll do the picture book because it's less than 1,000 words, right? I can do that. And it was kind of fun. And I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to write the story that wasn't in that book of China. I'm going to put everybody in the book. So I'm pregnant, I'm calling all my aunts and uncles. Do you remember that funny dress you used to wear when you used to, no, don't make me look fat, I don't want to be that. And then, remember that thing you used to make, what was that called? And so I did a lot of research, it was a lot of fun. And I created a story for everyone, and that taught me something as a children's book author. that you don't write your story. And the story that I wrote is not my story. It is your story. It is a story of family. It is a story of love. And it is a story of finding yourself. It happens to be me and my sister running around Queens. But you know what? You will find your story again. Because it's truly about the bonds of family. And that is what makes art that really speaks to everyone. So it's the lesson I offer you as artists in your own right. I believe, we shed every year, we shed all of ourselves, whether we're new people. We are creative beings by nature. So honor that about yourself, honor the story that you have, and make sure there's a place for all of us in your story. Come see us at the Queen's Council, and like I said, Joan is one of my Pride and Joy students. We've had quite a few, and she has really taken everything and just opened herself up to the best version that she could possibly be, and it's because of that that you're here. So let's give Joan a big hand. Enjoy your evening on with the show.
Visual warning. Next to us, speaker, woman in the arts leader, is Lucia Dragos. Lucia Dragos is an award-winning producer, host, editor, and videographer with more than 20 years experience in the entertainment industry. As a video, confidence, and visibility coach, she helps success-driven female entrepreneurs who are ready to transform their businesses and live videos, but struggle with technical knowledge and confidence. Lucia works with entrepreneurs to push through their fears, become confident, and step into the spotlight so that they can become irresistible to millions online. Lucia started as a professional dancer in her native Bulgaria, and in the year 2000, she moved to New York City. Since then, she's written, directed, produced various shows, including The Child Within, an international feature drama telling the story of 3 human trafficking victims, the short films The Foreigner, Peekaboo, and more. In her work as producer for QPTV for the past 5 years, she has developed, produced, edited, and hosted TV shows. Several received high recognitions and awards. Power Women of Queens with host Lucia Dragos. Around Queens with host Lucia Dragos. Fabulous. And Power Youth of Queens, the STEAM Girls at Culture Express. Recently, Lucia created an online TV platform, Woman to Woman TV, to help women start and produce their own talk shows so they can share their message with the world. That sounds fabulous. Her mission is to help women tell their stories using the power of video and inspire young women to enter media professions and flip the numbers in the traditionally male-dominated field. You can find more about Lucia Dragos at www.luciadragos.com and watch some of her programs at www.woman-to-woman-tv.com and www.qptv.org. Fabulous. And here's Paris Lucia Dragos.
It's very hard to follow Hangile's speech, so I'm going to hold my notes. I don't want to miss anything. Thank you, everyone, for being such a wonderful crowd. Thank you, Joan, for this honor and for all that you do for the Queens community. And I don't see Hangli Krakow, but thank you, Hangli Krakow and Queens Council on the Arts for hosting this wonderful event. Oh, I see her. Actually, QPTV has a long relationship with QCA. And the first program that I developed and produced for QPTV called Around Queens with Lucia Dragos, High School to Art School, was shot right here. So it's really wonderful to come back, I believe 2 or 3 years later, in this wonderful space. In my opinion, being an artist comes with a responsibility. And art is not only a self-expression, but also a tool to empower and to influence people's lives for the better. And being an artist myself, my life has been influenced by so many wonderful artists, and I was born and raised in communist Bulgaria, behind the walls of impossibilities, and with a lot of limitations, mildly put. And it was not until I was 13 when I saw for the first time American movie called All That Jazz by Bob Fosse. And my life changed forever. My American dream was born, and being a dancer, I was trained ballerina and then later on modern dancer. I not only fell more in love with dance after seeing this movie, but also fell in love with the lens and understood how powerful the lens is to tell our stories and to change and influence other people's lives. So fast forward 13 years later, when I was 26, in December 2000, I landed in JFK. Ever since, I lived my American dream and cherished every moment that I've been in this country, and especially in New York. Slowly but somehow, subconsciously, my mission became to empower other girls and women to find their own American dream. And despite the walls of impossibilities that they might have in their own lives, to pursue that American dream and to make it a reality, just like I did. So that mission has influenced my work as a filmmaker to develop and produce The Child Within, which was a human trafficking feature film, and also to develop, produce, and host award-winning shows for QPTV. Some of which John mentioned: Power Women of Queens, Power Youth of Queens, The STEAM Girls, Around Queens, and Culture Express. Those accomplishments also have inspired me to think even bigger and to start reaching people, and women in particular, globally, throughout my video visibility coaching business, and also through Woman to Woman TV, where we help women to tell their stories and use the power of video to change the world and to find their American dream and make it a reality. So being surrounded by women artists, and by artists here, it's a tremendous honor and also inspiration to push myself more and more so I can contribute more and more to this great community. So thank you all, and thank you, John. Thank you, Hansi Krakauer.
Our third artist leader, doing for a real treat. Audrey DeMello. Celebrated for her dynamic presence on the stage and on the page, Queens, New York City native Audrey DeMello is a poet, performer, curator, connector, and lifelong artist. She is also the director of public programs at her beloved Socrates Sculpture Park in Long Island City. Audrey is the author of 2 poetry and prose collections and has been widely recognized for preserving a unique circuit of events, and creative opportunities marked by a wondrous spirit of empowerment and exploration. For sure. She's been featured on New York One TV, Queens Public TV. She has curated shows for LaGuardia Performing Arts Center, the Historic House Trust, and Queens Museum. She's also performed at venues around New York City, including Queens Council on the Arts, Bowery Poetry Club, Brooklyn Museum, and New York City Poetry Festival. She can be usually found writing on everything, riding her bike, climbing trees, and pushing the edges of reality. And of course, stoking the flames. And for that, she is a true leader. Come on up, or you can
Hi guys. Thanks for being here. I just want to, echoing Lucia's statement, being around all of you guys, it's wonderful. It's the lifeblood. That's why we do what we do. What does it mean to be an artist in public service? Sometime in the past 2 or so years, I asked the universe or God or whatever force you come to attribute it to crack me open, to make me an instrument. It was a thing I wrote and felt, but almost didn't realize the magnitude in asking. I see myself as an instrument of the people. I see myself as a messenger. For me, curating has become inextricable with creating a sanctuary, a widening circle of trust in which all are welcome to arrive as they are, push edges, experiment, return to themselves. My work now revolves around that ideal, holding the precious space that the heart and blood need to remember those things the mind often forgets. The road to where I stand now, Director of Public Programs at Socrates, could not exist without the darkness, dead ends, loss, self-doubt, bewilderment, heartache. One hand washes the other. And I am forever a student of the path, the people, all forms of art, and the written and spoken word. The work that I'm being called to do is about living openly and sharing that journey. Not being afraid to admit or exhibit my struggles, which at times have become monstrous and debilitating. Because always I am human first. And I think we need as many reminders as possible that that is not only okay, but vital. The thing I want to impart to you is that it doesn't matter if you are doing the work independently or as part of a formal or renowned institution or organization, it matters that you are doing the work. This is one of my favorite quotes from Dr. Martin Luther King's drum major instinct sermon in 1968. Everybody can be great because everybody can serve. You don't have to have a college degree to serve. You don't have to make your subject and your verb agree to serve. You don't have to know about Plato and Aristotle to serve. You don't have to know Einstein's theory of relativity to serve. You don't have to know the second theory of thermodynamics and physics to serve. You only need a heart full of grace, a soul generated by love, and you can be that servant. Before Socrates, my last jobs were babysitter, dog handler, Grubhub bicycle delivery girl, and actually paralyzed by depression and anxiety and not working at all. Before that, called off my engagement, quit my job as a digital project manager, and attempted to become a wilderness guide. I was all over the place. But somehow in my bones, I was so ready to focus. Something was ready to happen. I came to Socrates bearing the marks of all the things that had happened to me. All the blood, fire, and stardust. And I was blessed to work with and under the previous director who saw my resume as a full picture of an adventurous spirit and not a non-committal scatterbrain. Everything I had experienced and learned and earned up to that moment had come from work. Learning through doing, and that's it. Boots on the ground, sharing, performing, researching, listening, hitting walls, finding ways around. Sticking my hand out to anyone I met or wanted to meet, connecting diverse and like-minded souls, sharing resources, and offering help. I am not a professor or a teacher with any formal qualification. I do not have a master's degree in literature or art or anything. I went to Queens Public Schools and CUNY College for journalism. Both of my books are stubbornly self-published. I have never managed a nonprofit or worked officially for a museum or art institution. And yet I am here. Because of the blessing of an organization that took the risk on this wild-eyed poetic vandal who had just turned 30 years old. Because there are things like blood and sweat and wildness and enthusiasm, raw power and raw passion that can't be translated or quantified simply on paper. They saw me and what I brought to the institution and to the public. And so what I need to say is always do the work, no matter who is watching or not watching, and whether or not you get credit or acknowledgement. The point is to always do the work, which very importantly includes your own work, your own self-care and self-love in order to nourish yourself so you can continue to nourish the world. Next month is my 1-year anniversary at Socrates and my 4th official month as director. And out there now, I have a whole park of people and artists and tourists and performers and babies and dogs and wanderers and wild kids, just like I was climbing all the sculptures. And I get to take care of them. Peter Pan has found her Neverland. And it is allowing me to rise to this grandest occasion, which sometimes genuinely terrifies me because it matters to me so much. It is allowing me to breathe through that fear, stand firmly in my feet paws, and hold the energy of this space. To ensure that Socrates remains that place of wonder and solace and vitality I have treasured ever since I was a little kid. And there's no hard-edged formula for that. How do you do that? How do you make people feel safe, feel comfortable enough to take creative risks, to dance and howl and open up to strangers? How do you curate events that hit people in their gut? How do you get people to know your work, share your legend, advocate for you as you do for them? With heart. With the beautiful, blazing, flawed Lazarus heart, which we are all lucky enough to have beating inside our chests, but which I feel all of us need to make a continuous effort to really trust. This season at the park, there will be festivals like my new baby Wild Fest, celebrating outdoor adventure and native folklore. Our long-time tradition of summer solstice, music from hip-hop to opera, youth voices and voices of resistance, urban farming and food justice, dance and spoken word, experiential activities, art making and storytelling, new creative workshops for adults, yoga and international film, and of course what I hope are many, many opportunities to feel free, connect to your fellow humans, and return. As a final note, I want to say that learning or remembering is in the doing. It is the education of movement and heart opening and risk. It comes with volunteering, staying up late, working multiple jobs and taking side gigs, performing for free, helping friends and strangers, spreading the word, doing what scares you, making mistakes. You are always as qualified or unqualified as you think you are. It doesn't come down to age or accolades or gallery space or publishing credits or a piece of paper or even who pays your bills. You are your work and your message embodied at every moment. Your own champion and teller of tales. Your body is the living altar so light a fire in it. The only way to write your legend is by going out and getting bloody and dirty and filled with frustration and wonder and humility and hope. I am blessed to feel like I am realizing what I asked the universe for all those months and months ago. My name is Audrey DeMola. I am a torchbearer, messenger, and instrument of the people. And I am so thrilled to discover all the incredible things we'll create together, side by side.
Now, up next, our final artist leader speaker, we have Yvonne Short. Social practice artist that uses art and design and education and technology to address community issues. Yvonne's past projects are Reimagining the Pavilion, 63rd Street Drive Collaborative Mural, Queen's Art Intervention, Penguin and Outdoor Ashtrays. Our current projects, drum roll, Women Who Build, Artists Who Own. The piece involves working collaboratively on all the steps necessary to build a tiny house and then take it around New York City to discuss equality in pay, work, home, and workspace. Alderton House is a new work where artist Yvonne Short uses her home to promote connectiveness in the community. This work involves creating a framework for children to grow flowers and gardens of seniors with seniors, intergenerational. Additional programming to be announced, and I'm sure there's going to be a whole bunch. Our website is rpgastudio.org. And with that, I have the pleasure to invite you up to the
stage. So I'm Yvonne, and so many amazing people here today with so many amazing places that they are in their lives. And I'll just tell you a little story about kind of how I came into it, how I came into having a social practice and the evolution of sorts. I have a brother, he's older by a year and a half. He seemed to be Mr. Fabulous. He was amazing at everything. He was fantastic in football. He could play the flute and the violin. He was an amazing mathematician. And so I just kind of went through thinking, what am I good at? Like, he could draw. I just was, so I felt like, oh, he's just amazing at everything. I'm really not good at anything. I was mediocre, I was an okay student. And then in 8th grade came algebra, and my brother started to have some problems. And it clicked for me, it clicked. Algebra just clicked. And for the first time, my parents, you know, I was always little Evie, or evil Evie they used to call me. The first time I was like, oh my God, like my parents are noticing little me, little Evie. And they were like, oh, you're so amazing in math, I can't believe you see these things, you see these possibilities. Mind you, it wasn't like I just saw certain things in school. I saw certain things in math. So people said I should become a mathematician. I got a full scholarship to NYU and blah, 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 and I studied math, and then Goldman offered me an opportunity, and I went to Goldman, and then AIG offered me an opportunity, and I went to AIG. And then everybody was offering me opportunities, and I was like, oh, hey, this is fantastic. And then I had my own business, I had people working for me, and I walked by this store one day called the Paper Trail, and I saw this beautiful paper dress, and I was like, wow, this is gorgeous. But I'm not an artist, I'm a mathematician. Everybody was like, she's not an artist, she's a mathematician. But she's not an artist, she's a mathematician. That little chirping, everybody kept chirping, this is what you are. But I felt myself becoming something else. So I went home, I learned how to cut paper, I made a beautiful little dress. I remember thinking how it would have been great if dresses had some tactile feeling to them. I made it so that if you were visually impaired, you would feel the braille, and all of a sudden, American Printing House of the Blind knocked. We love your piece, we want to commission you. I was like, commission? What the heck is that? Now my husband, who had studied he wanted to be an actor, so he went to NYU and studied acting, but never acted a day in his life after he graduated, because he got his first, they don't tell you about the no's, and then you graduate and you're like, you hear all these no's. But luckily, he did go to acting school, so he knew what a commission was. He was like, a commission is when someone pays you. And he was like, you are getting paid. He was like, I was never paid to perform. This is crazy. How can you be getting paid? And so I was commissioned to do 7 beautiful paper dresses, and I was paid $2,500 for each dress. And I was like, what? I enjoyed it. And everybody was like, where did you go to school? Blah, 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 blah. I never went to school for it. I was looking on YouTube. I had no clue. I was not labeled an artist. I was still being labeled a mathematician, but I just happened to have, so as a hobby now, and for her hobby, she creates little paper dresses. Whatever. being pulled. I was tired of my kids not knowing how to like use a lawnmower or like just, I felt like they were missing the things that I had as a kid. Like I had to learn how to do basic things for myself. I had to learn how to shovel snow. I had to go next door and help my neighbor shovel snow. I needed to get out of Manhattan. It was freaking me out. So we were walking around one day and there was this little house for sale and it was an attached brick house. To me, it was like the best things in sliced butter. My mom was like, those things are all over Queens. I was like, oh my God, I never saw an attached house like this before. She was like, girl, I must have deprived you when you were a child. Apparently she did. But I saw that cute little attached house and I just thought it was so beautiful. And the lady who lived in it had lived there for 60 years. She was from Croatia. Her husband had passed away. She had all these memories and I was just clinging for beautiful memories. So then she was like, I don't know if I really want to sell this. And then I was like, oh, but I really want this, because now she wasn't sure. And I was like, but it's so beautiful. But I said, I'll respect you because I love this house. But when you're ready, let me know. So she called back 4 months later and said, I'm really ready. I'm really ready. And my husband was like, I'm not ready. I like my doorman. He's like to live, to like actually have nobody to open the door and have to get your house. I lived in Long Island. I don't think it's that much of a deal. I was like, but this is the city. I was like, just shut up. When we get this house, we're gonna try it. We're gonna move to Queens. He was like, Queens? I knew it. We'll move to Queens. I was like, we're going to Queens. So we get this house, and I bring my one paper dress that I had been working on, my last paper dress, and I was playing around with it, and I walked, and I kind of made a couple of changes. I sold my business. I decided to be home with my kids for a little while to try and figure that whole thing about like being a mommy at home with her kids. I wasn't sure if I was quite ready for it. They were freaking me out. I was in Queens, and then I walked by this underpass on 63rd Drive, and it's got rats running around. Like I never walked that way before. When I first moved in, I came the other way. That's the way that the real estate broker showed me, the other way. So then I go to 63rd Drive, and I'm like, what the heck? There are rats. There are rats. There are rats on there are rats. Like, this is 63rd Drive, man. There's just a public school over here. There's a public school over here. Why are there rats? Why is there tires? Why is there garbage? Why are the businesses not carrying? Why? And my husband was like, you need to try it. And I was like, yeah, I need to try it. I was like, okay, how can we get people to care? I was a council member at that time, and she was like, well, you can get on the board, but we're going to determine the board. I was like, what board? Like, what kind of board is this? Like a public board? Like I'm thinking about companies. She's like, no, it's the community board. Get on the community board. But I don't know, you don't really have any qualifications. You just moved to Queens. You gotta do some things first. No, you can't get on the community board yet, but maybe in a couple of years. No. So she said no. So then I was like, okay, I can't get on the community board. That means I can't clean up the space. But I was like, well, all right, what can I do? I'm gonna make a mural. I'm gonna try and get people involved. And I didn't know the first thing about painting a mural. The wall was 1,200 square feet. It was huge. It was 12 feet up. I was like, how the heck do you I mean, I had scribbled things, but how do I make a big mural? So I worked it out. I worked with a couple of other friends, 2 other artists who had kind of heard about my crazy idea. They had never done it before either. I was like, I'm not really an artist. They're like, don't say that. Just what do you want on the wall? So I drew it. And then they showed me through math how I could take my small drawing and make it big. And I was like, wait, math. So, and then I knocked on some doors and I asked people to come and help. And on painting day, I had 400 people come and help. And I said, I want you to sign this petition because we need these businesses to clean up this space. We need our council member to help us. So they signed the petition, and after the beautiful mural went up, I called everybody up, and 20 people said, okay, I'm gonna come on and do the hard work with you to get this area really clean. And over the next 4 years, we cleaned up this space. I started doing other murals in the community and planting gardens and doing all sorts of fun projects. But it was hard because projects take money. Paint costs money. Everything costs. And then you write your grant for QCA, and I love QCA sincerely, but I gotta know. Because I'm not an artist. They don't think of me as an artist. So that's why they're saying no. And it was like, but wait a minute. What do you want to do? Forget about all the no's, because I had heard quite a bit of them. You're not this, you're not this, you're not that. No, 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 no. Forget it. Fine. What do I know? I know math. I know robotics. I know CAD design. How can I use that to help me with all these artistic projects that I want? How to afford the paint? I knocked on my door to school, said, hey, I'd love to teach robotics and CAD design. And the principal said, hey, I'll pay you $10,000 to do it because it's like a residency and this is what we pay. I was like, $10,000? That's fantastic. I can afford some paint. We can do some more murals. So we can be more active in other communities. I can teach out what I know. So I started to do those kinds of things. I started to share what I knew. I started to learn from other people who knew how to extrapolate paint ideas and make things bigger on walls. They shared their techniques with me. I looked on YouTube. I did the work. I wouldn't consider myself a painter or an illustrator. I didn't know what the heck I was. I played around with paper. I had done some photography and people had bought some of that and that was really cool, but I didn't consider myself a photographer. I was pretty good at math, but I didn't, so I kind of consider myself a mathematician because I've been doing that for so long. But what was I? I didn't know. And today I still don't know what I am. If somebody says, what's your discipline? I'm like, I guess multidisciplinary. I don't know. But I'm always on the path trying to figure it out. I'm not letting a no deter me. And then what started to happen was QC started saying yes. I started feeling like I had some strength, I had some power. Lynn came, she was like, let me help you, let me give you some strategies. Melanda was like, I like your ideas. And I started feeling strength. And then my ideas got bigger and bigger. And one day I said, I want to build a tiny house. I know how to use CAD. I don't know that much about architecture, but it's math. I can figure that out. I wonder if there are other people. I don't know what a miter saw is. What? What the heck is that? I have to educate myself. I have to do the work. But wait a minute. It costs a lot of money to buy a miter saw. It's $300. Maybe other people want to do the work with me. Maybe other people are trying to figure out some of the same things I am. So I started putting a call out. And pretty soon we had 50 women who wanted to come on board and help with this project. We had to find a space to house the project. I went here, I went there. No. But I never now let no deter me. I never let it. If somebody says no, not today, well, you know what? There's tomorrow, there's the next day, there's the day after. It's so incredibly important. Today I have this amazing studio. I have 11 people who work under me. I'm not your typical executive director for the nonprofit. I consider it a social practice. I'm intricately involved in all the pieces that go up. I sand, I paint, I saw, I'm playing around with electronics, with robotics. I do crazy projects. We get grants from small business services, discretionary funding. I took my house, I emptied the whole thing out. I literally called 1-800-GOT-JUNK and said, take it all away! Take it all away! I'm turning it into a space where people can sit, we can have tea, we can connect, where seniors can come and plant gardens with kids, where we can do sculpture projects together and they don't have to be limited just to people who know how about CNC routers or how to use saws. I'm democratizing a lot of things. I use funny headgear called virtual reality 3D 360 to get across to people how important it is to keep our community clean and transportation safety. I have amazing ideas. I don't let anyone put me in a box. I am a woman, I am a lion, and I will roar. And that's the same in this room. We will roar. And don't ever let anyone put you in a box. Life is a journey, and together we flow.
Okay, continuing. I'll give you a little heads up. There's two parts. The first part of the show is our 4 speakers, which you've heard from, and then we have a performance piece. Then we'll have a short break where you'll get to go around and look at all the wonderful artwork. There are books and there are cards for sale. Make sure that you put in for the raffle. Those artists that haven't signed their release forms yet, during the break, we'll do that. I think Lucy, you have the release forms there. You see the lady in red. Release forms. And we will continue. Are we having a good time, Tom?
Yes.